Look at that. Brand new hot water tank. These are a lot easier than people think they are to replace. All you have to do is shut off your water, and there's a valve right there that feeds the hot water tank. Most hot water tanks, there's a valve right there, and it's the incoming cold water. You unhook your pipes. After you turn the water off, make sure you turn your power off at the breaker box. And that is your overflow valve. But there's your power, but turn your power off at the breaker box. I'm not telling anybody to do this, because if you don't know anything about electricity or anything, I'd have a professional do it. But wiring's pretty simple. There's a ground wire and a gray wire and a white wire in there, and you go to a red, black to red and white to gray, I think it is. But when you unhook it, you make sure you look, because a lot of do-it-yourself projects, they did things backwards. So this one might be a do-it-yourself. I just made sure to hook it back up the way. It's getting warm. I just ran my sink. I hooked it up about 15 minutes ago, turned the power to it, ran the sink water, and it's still coming out cold. And I'm like, oh, maybe it's not working. But it's working, because the out pipe is warm, where it feeds the faucets in the house, the hot water faucets. But you just put some of the Teflon tape on your fittings when you put them back on. And on the bottom, that is like a drain valve. So when you pull out your old one, after you've shut off your power and shut off your water supply, you hook a hose to that and run it outside, so you can drain it as low as you can, and then you unhook your water pipes, these right here, and pull it out of the way. If you got the overflow goes into PVC, you can just cut it right there, and that's what I did. I just cut it and then pulled the other, because it goes out the wall right there going outside. And then I just ran the PVC pipe down behind, elbowed it off, and then it goes out to the outside. Some of them are hooked up to drains, but this one actually just hooks right outside. Just goes right out that hole right there and right out the side of the house. Anyway, that you don't have to worry about. They're plastic. It used to be metal. The old one I pulled out was metal, so yeah, don't stand on them. It wouldn't be a good idea. But anyway, let me hook this, show you the wiring in there. Okay, here's the wiring. So it's black to white and brown to red. And then green, actually on this one, it had a screw on the outside to put the ground wire on. But since my ground wire runs in this and comes out with the power, I just went ahead where there's a ground wire inside that hooks to the inside. Because what they would have it set up for is if you run a ground wire to this, it's grounding off this whole box, and then down inside there's a ground wire that goes inside to where they need it. And instead of hooking this up and just going through there, I just went ahead and screwed it onto that one down there. So yeah, black to white and red to gray, kind of a brownish gray, and it's pretty simple. But like I just put, comes with this valve right here. You buy a little copper 3/4 inch male fitting, male on both sides. Put the PVC pipe on it, and then put your glue on it for pressure. But there ain't gonna never be much pressure, and that usually doesn't really kick on unless you have a pipe that blows or it overpressures the tank. Or overheats it. It gets too much pressure, then it'll blow out that. So don't forget your glue. But yeah, had our washer and dryer sitting right here. got those out of the way, and I'll make sure everything's working right before I put them back in. But I was out fishing, and my wife calls me and says, "Oh, there's water on the floor. I think it's a hot water tank." So I told her to shut off the valve, and I came home and ruined my fishing trip because I was fishing. Oh well. Come home, went and bought this $450 at Home Depot, and then had to go back and get the PVC pipe, but Home Depot's not too far away, a couple miles. And then you hook your water back up. Make sure you fill up the tank with water and it's coming out your faucets in your house. Yes, it's going to be cold because you do not turn the power back on until the tank is full, or it could burn up your elements. If they heat up and they're not in water, it can destroy them and it voids your warranty. So yeah, it's pretty simple. It probably took us an hour to move the washer and dryer, and then pull out the old one and pop this one in. Well, an hour to move the washer dryer, pull out the old one, make sure the line was drained, because you put a hose on there and it takes a while. It goes out pretty slow. And then I went, during that time, went to Home Depot and picked up this one and came back. When I was back, it was done draining, so I just shut that valve down there and put a hand truck on it and took it out in the backyard and slid this one in, cleaned up the floor underneath of it where it was messed up the floor. Then I put a piece of plywood down there to level it out. Got a lot of marks in this floor, so some wet towels from when I had the leak. But there's a chunk of linoleum tore up, so we are going to replace this later on, but at least it's easy to take those tanks in and out. That's no big deal. It's a quick job. So, and those are pretty easy to not leak. Just put them down fairly tight, hand tight, and then 3/4 of a turn or so with a pipe wrench or whatever you got, crescent wrench or whatever. Crescent wrench works best, of course. Unless you got an end wrench, it'll fit on them. Those are pretty big though. Just tighten them down. Do not forget the sealant right here. And then with your pipe, put in your glues. They have gray, and then they have a purple one, which is kind of a the purple's kind of a solvent. It softens the plastic and cleans it up. Then you put the gray on it, which is the glue, and then here's this one here, which is a blue, which you don't need the solvent with this one, as long as your code doesn't, city code or state code or county code, whatever, doesn't call for it. But that's really a non-pressure side, so I mean, if that pops, I guess it would be under pressure, but it should be tightened, or glue should tighten up enough or get hard enough to make it solid where it ain't gonna pop. Or if it pops open, that it won't spray inside your house. So anyway, that's pretty simple. And once everything's heated up, like I said, the out pipe is nice and warm, and then make sure you feel around them after you, and make sure there's no water whatsoever on your hand. That's just the glue, but you get a little of that glue on there. After it dries, it'll peel right off. But anyway, that was my project for the day. Well, mine and my son's, and my wife, she had to help a little bit. This is a 50-gallon tank, so it's got a better rating, energy cost rating, than our old one did. So, but our old one was 20 some years old. and they're only good for, like, that one had a 10-year rating on it, so that's why it leaked. This one has a 6-year because we didn't get the one. If you get to get that extra couple year rating on them, they usually have a tube. The intake where the water goes in, it goes all the way to the bottom of the tank, and then there's a little loop. So what it does is when the water's going in, it's spraying and makes it a little turbulence down there, so it doesn't. So it keeps this water moving around on the bottom. These ones here just dump the water in the top, and then it pressurizes out the other side once the tank is completely full. But if you have that thing down there, it actually extends your warranty because it keeps it moving around, so you don't get a bunch of hard water buildup and stuff down there. It slows that process down. So anyway, this is heating up, and here, I'll show you the pipes outside. That's where the pipe comes out of the house right there, and I just got it where it goes on the deck right there. So alright, that's a nice thing about having a toolbox right here in your pantry. And when you work on stuff that's right here, everything's from here to here. That was a big plus. Alright, everyone. Have a good day.